What is wholeness? Today I'm going to be addressing 3 key points what wholeness is, and from a spiritual perspective, conscious perspective, and how to actually welcome our wholeness and how to allow ourselves to experience ourselves as fully divine whole beings, because that's what we are actually all striving for, to fill the void. And what is this thing, void? Well, the void creates itself when we reject ourselves as whole, sacred, divine beings. So let's look into it. So number one, wholeness is the remembrance of our true nature as consciousness. So at the soul level, we are already whole. The illusion of fragmentation arises through conditioning, trauma, and ego identification, all of which create separation from our inner truth. Spirituality teaches us through meditative practices, meditation, journaling, inner child workshop, breath work, yoga, etc., that to be whole is to remember who we truly are beyond form. When I say beyond form, I'm also including our body, because our body is a form. So beyond this form, we are pure, unbounded consciousness expressing itself through a human experience. So that's what it is. So we are having this body not to restrict us, but we are having this body so we can fully experience consciousness and to fully experience our human experiences. And that includes all of our emotions, all of our feelings, beliefs that we have at any particular time in space. So when we return to this remembrance, we stop seeking outside of ourselves for completion. Instead, we rest in the I am. I am is enough. It's a full sentence. We don't need to continue with the sentence and drag it on and on and on and on and on and add things to it, because every time we add something to I am, we are limiting ourselves. So for example, if I was to say to you, I am a spiritual teacher, I'm limiting myself straight away. I'm putting myself in certain box. I'm alienating myself from people who are maybe not familiar with spirituality. But if I say I am this divine holy being, and everything else that I do, everything else that comes out of me comes from this divine pool of consciousness. This I am, the eternal awareness that is ever present, ever loving, peaceful, and always unified. So the second one is wholeness integrates all versions of ourselves across all times, all dimensions, all realities, and all lives, reincarnations that we have experienced, are experiencing, and are going to experience. But as we know, some of you have this awareness that all of our lifespans are actually happening in this very exact moment, because time does not exist in consciousness. So true healing and wholeness occurs when we stop dividing ourselves into good and bad parts. So we stop judging ourselves all of the time. We stop judging our wholeness. Once we start judging our wholeness, we reject our wholeness. So with judging, we reject. Judging means rejection. So if I'm judging my wholeness, I'm rejecting my wholeness. And once I reject my wholeness, I create a void. So that's what we are doing when we are judging and separating ourselves, our emotions, beliefs, feelings into good and bad. We are judging them and we are separating them. And that's how we create that void that cannot be filled with anything. The only way the void can be filled, and void is illusionary, by the way, does not exist, it's just a feeling. Once we start loving and accepting fully our wholeness, all that we are, then that void naturally disappears. So the soul, our soul is multidimensional, meaning that all aspects of us may be living in parallel realities or holding unprocessed experiences in the subconscious. So wholeness is the act of welcoming all timelines, all selves, and all experience, all emotions, all beliefs that we have at this moment in time about ourselves into loving awareness. So we love all of us. We don't judge. We don't try to hide certain parts of ourselves or reject certain parts of ourselves. We bring all of us into this loving awareness, and we love ourselves as a whole divine beings. And this can include including our wounded inner child, empowered adult self, shadow aspects of ourselves, light body self, higher self, and all other self that we can possibly feel or experience. We can also be experiencing crystal body. We might be experiencing deep connection with nature, with ancestors, with light beings. We are so multidimensional, and it's really important for us not to restrict ourselves in this sacred, transformative, explorative journey that we are all on. So we create a spiritual alignment by becoming the observer of all, but not only the observer. We don't just observe, we accept what we observe with love, with joy, with celebration, really, of all that we actually are. So the third one is wholeness arises through presence and non-resistance. So the observer effect, known in quantum physics, teaches us that consciousness shapes our reality. So in spiritual terms, our perception of ourselves influences our experience of life. So when awareness expands to hold all emotions, patterns, and thoughts with compassion, the illusion of brokenness, of that void that I was talking about, the illusion of void and brokenness disappears because it's not real. It cannot possibly be real. We are whole beings. So this surrender creates space for integration. And how beautiful is that? For us to allow ourselves to fully integrate. And that integration comes with acceptance of us as we truly are. There is nothing wrong with us. There are no parts of ourselves that are wrong or that need fixing. There's nothing that needs fixing. What we need is radical acceptance of self. So the return of lost parts of ourselves to the whole, that's what integration is. So we are returning all those parts that we have rejected to ourselves, so we can experience ourselves as whole that we truly are. So wholeness is not perfection. We are not looking for perfection. It is a radical acceptance of everything that we are, exactly as we are. So how to become whole? 5 spiritual practices. I'm going to do these 5 spiritual practices in another video. I might mark it as video number 2, so this video is not too long. And I'm going to be addressing how to become whole and what practices to integrate in our daily life for us to allow ourselves to experience ourselves as fully whole divine beings that we truly are.